Not for much longer.
I know.
Flannery, you connected twice?
Yeah, I did. My it wasn't coming up for some reason, so I had to X out and then come back in.
Okay.
Sorry, it was a last minute phone call.
Hey, Cynthia, now we can see your face.
Yes, hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you. Well, I am showing 7 o'clock. Do we know if Roy and David are coming? Has Kristen, did they respond? Do we know?
There's David,
Hey, David.
but I didn't know. Nobody really responded, except you.
Well, we have a quorum, so we'll go ahead and get started on time, and hopefully Roy will be joining us. So I have my trusty gavel. I would like to call to order the December 15th, 2020 public hearing of the Town of James Island Board of Zoning Appeals, also known as the BZA. For those of you who wish, please stand and join the board with the prayer and pledge of allegiance. Dear God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather here tonight. We pray that this meeting is successful and productive. Please guide us during our discussions and give us wisdom concerning the issues we may face. We pray for the ability to work together in harmony for the welfare of the citizens, land, and natural resources of the Town of James Island. In your most blessed name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands, one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible,
with
liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess we can't all talk at the same time to say the pledge, but that was pretty cool. Thank you. This meeting has been noticed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. 15 days prior to this hearing, a public hearing notice was printed in the Post and Courier, a sign was posted on the designated properties, and a notice was mailed to the applicant or representative property owner and to property owners within 300 feet of the applications, and to parties of interest. Persons, organizations, and the news media that have requested declaration of our meeting have also been notified. The Freedom of Information Act does not require notification of anyone other than the applicant and parties of interest. The board members who will hear your case tonight are myself, I'm Brooke Lyon, I'm the chairperson, Mr. David Savage, vice chairperson, Mr. Sim Parrish, Ms. Corey Hip Erdman. Staff members present are Kristen Crane, our planning director, Flannery Wood, planner 1, Ashley Callahan, town administrator, Bo Wilson, attorney. Frances Simmons, unfortunately, has had a death in her family. She's our secretary to the BZA and town clerk. She will be absent tonight, so please keep her and her family in your prayers. Flannery Wood will be filling in for Frances tonight. So thank you so much, Flannery. We really appreciate it. I would also like to recognize Dr. Cynthia Mignano, town councilwoman, and our I've already mentioned our town attorney, Mr. Bo Wilson. Board members, the minutes for the October 20th meeting was included in your packets. Are there any changes? If not, may I have a motion to approve and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Parrish made the motion. Ms. Erdman seconded it. Is there any discussion? Flannery, would you please take a roll call vote? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say no.
Aye.
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 Aye. I guess we just did it down the line for you. That's okay.
Yeah.
With Zoom, we'll do all of our votes as roll call though, please. Thank y'all. So it passes unanimously. Our case rulings and minutes from this and any BZA meeting are available for public review and inspection during normal business hours at Town Hall. At this time, I would like to explain to the public the workings of the BZA. The Board of Zoning Appeals is the quasi-judicial body established to interpret and grant relief from the Zoning and Land Development Regulations Ordinance. The Board of Zoning Appeals has jurisdiction over 3 types of cases: appeals, variances, and special exception. Variances may be granted when strict application of the zoning ordinance would cause an unnecessary hardship. This board's actions must be based on specific standards as contained in the South Carolina Local Government Planning Enabling Act of 1994 and the Town of James Island Zoning and Land Development Regulations Ordinance. A simple majority vote of the quorum present is required to grant a variance and a special exception. It must be understood that the rules of your neighborhood or subdivision are binding, and we can take no action that will negate their jurisdiction over your property. Our purpose tonight is for interested parties to be heard in order to assist the board in gathering evidence pertinent to each case. If the members of the BZA feel the need for further information to clarify a case, the board has the authority to subpoena witnesses. In addition to your testimony, our board has been presented written information submitted to the staff by the applicant or their agent for each case. This information is now considered to be evidence and is entered into the permanent record of this body. It is assumed that it is complete, true, and accurate.
So when she gets to the part of
Oh.
swearing people in, if-
Also, we have been presented data assembled by the staff for the purpose of clarifying the location and the effect on surrounding property. Our board is empowered to approve with conditions, or to deny your request. We are also authorized to defer a case should there be need to obtain additional information. If an applicant's request is disapproved and they wish to appeal the decision of this board concerning their case, appeals must be addressed to the circuit court. South Carolina Code 6-29-820 states that the appeal must be filed by the applicant within 30 days after the decision of the board is mailed to them. Failure to file an appeal within the time limit deprives the court of the jurisdiction to hear the matter. Because this is a quasi-judicial body, everything said in this meeting must be complete, true, and accurate. All of the information provided to the BZA is considered evidence, and this board may certify contempt of circuit court if false statements are made, either in writing or orally. Because of this, each person who wishes to address the board will be sworn in. Excuse me. Each person who would like to speak via the Zoom platform will be called to be sworn in one by one during that portion of the meeting. If you would like to address the board and are participating by Zoom, please use the chat function at this time to state your name, whether you are in support or opposition, and you will be called on to speak and be sworn in at the appropriate time. If anyone has called in and would like to speak, you will be recognized by your phone number and called upon when the time comes. The conference room at Town Hall is also open to folks who want to come in person and speak over the laptop set up there. And Mr. Wilson will be swearing those folks in as well when they speak. And I also would like to recognize our board member, Mr. Roy Smith, who has joined us. So all 5 of us are here tonight to hear the case. I shall now call the case to be heard. Staff will present facts pertinent to the case, unlimited time. I shall then call the applicant to address the case, limited to 10 minutes. The applicant shall please state their name and current address for the record before presenting testimony. I will then ask for all those speaking either in support or against the case that signed up by Zoom or in the chat function or in the conference room, and they shall follow the same procedure for identifying themselves and being sworn in by our attorney, Mr. Wilson. They will be limited to 2 minutes each. The applicant will then have a chance to reply to any opposition, limited to 2 minutes. And then the BZA will make a motion to close the case to the public. Finally, the BZA will make a motion concerning the application, stating specific findings of fact and conclusion of law. Tonight, we will rehear and reconsider one variance request. The request must meet all of the criteria of the ordinance. Couple of housekeeping rules tonight, if you will. I'd like to ask all the board members to please state your name each time you comment or ask a question. So if I want to speak, I'll say Brooke Lyon and then, go forward. This will be helpful to anyone who's called in and is listening and can't see us. I would also like to mention issues regarding potential flooding, access, and trespass are more appropriate for the planning director, code, and building inspectors to address. The grant of a variance remains subject to code, real property laws, and permitting. Just please keeping that in mind during our questioning of staff, the applicant, and our discussion tonight. At this time, we will now hear case number BZAS-8-20-021, and our planning director, Kristen Crane, will start us off.
All right. I'm going to share my screen. Hello.
Hi. See you in person.
Okay. Let me move this over just a tad. I'm sorry. Is that better? Oops.
That's good.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay. The applicant, Mr. Stephen Lewis, is requesting a special exception reconsideration per section 10 rehearing of the BZA rules and procedures for the placement of a manufactured housing unit in the low density suburban residential district at 1108 Seaside Lane. The original special exception request was disapproved at the September 15th, 2020 BZA meeting, and the parcel is currently vacant. The adjacent properties to the south, east, and west are also zoned RSL and are in the town of James Island. The property to the south is owned by Charleston County School District and houses the athletic fields of the James Island Charter High School. Other uses within 300 feet of the subject property include residential uses in the town and several residential properties in the city of Charleston. The Town of James Island Zoning and Land Development Regulations Ordinance, Section 153.144, allows manufactured housing units in an RSL zoning district if the area within 300 feet of the parcel proposed for manufactured home placement is characterized either entirely manufactured homes or a mix of site-built and manufactured homes. The mix shall contain a minimum number of manufactured homes equivalent to 25% of the number of existing principal residences located on parcels within 300 feet of the subject property. And 2, if the zoning administrator determines that the area is not characterized either entirely of manufactured homes or by a mix of site-built and manufactured homes, the use shall fall under the special exception procedures of this chapter. Here is the applicant's site plan. In the letter of intent, the applicant explains, I originally submitted a request for special exception for an upscale, modern manufactured home with landscape around the home and pea gravel driveway at 1108 Seaside Lane. However, new information has changed the number of manufactured homes in the 300-foot radius. A manufactured home was approved for placement across the street by Charleston County at 1079 Seaside Lane, copy of approval attached. Thus, placement of such on 1108 Seaside Lane will meet the 25% required for administrative approval of placement of a manufactured home. So I'll just flip through the pictures. These are all the same from the September meeting. Across the street, up and down Seaside Lane. So according to section 153.045E, special exceptions may be approved only if the BZA finds that the proposed use A is consistent with the recommendations contained in the Town of James Island Comprehensive Plan and the character of the underlying zoning district purpose and intent. Response, the Town of James Island Comprehensive Plan housing element states a need of promoting a diverse housing stock with access to facilities and services and encouraging the provision of high quality, affordable homes in keeping with the single family residential character of the town, with the goal of encouraging high quality, affordable housing for people of all ages, incomes, and physical abilities. Therefore, this application may be consistent with the Town of James Island Comprehensive Plan as implemented through the RSL zoning district. B, is compatible with existing uses in the vicinity and will not adversely affect the general welfare or character of the immediate community. And the response, within 300 feet of the subject parcel, there are currently 4 existing manufactured homes with several more located closely outside of the 300-foot radius. Therefore, the use may be compatible with existing uses in the vicinity. Additionally, on September 15th, 2020, the City of Charleston approved an application for the placement of a manufactured home at 1079 Seaside Lane, which is across the street from the applicant. If the manufactured home at 1079 Seaside Lane gets physically placed, the applicant's application would then meet the 25% required existing manufactured homes to be approved administratively without the need for a special exception from the BZA. C, adequate provision is made for such items as setbacks, buffering, including fences and/or landscaping, to protect adjacent properties from the possible adverse influence of the proposed use, such as noise, vibration, dust, glare, odor, traffic congestion, and similar factors. Response, a 25-foot front street side setback, a 10-foot interior side setbacks, and a 15-foot rear setback are required, and the manufactured home meets the required setbacks as depicted on the proposed site plan. The east of the property currently contains an existing heavily wooded buffer, and in the letter of intent, the applicant states that landscape fencing of grass yard and pea gravel driveway and parking area of the home will also protect the adjacent properties from noise, dust, traffic, and parking issues, etc. D, where applicable, will be developed in a way that will preserve and incorporate any important natural features. Response, the current site is vacant and is clear where the home will be placed, with trees and vegetation on the perimeter. Additionally, the applicant states in their letter of intent that the existing natural vegetation and shrubbery and trees on the property will remain untouched. E, complies with all applicable rules, regulations, laws, and standards of this ordinance, including but not limited to any use conditions, zoning district standards, or site plan review requirements of this ordinance. In response, the The applicant is in the process to ensure compliance with the applicable regulations, F, vehicular traffic and pedestrian movement on adjacent roads shall not be hindered or endangered. In response, placing a manufactured housing unit at the subject address should not hinder or endanger vehicular traffic or pedestrian movement along Seaside Lane. The board may approve with conditions, or deny this case based on the findings of fact unless additional information is deemed necessary to make an informed decision. In the event the board decides to approve the application, the board should consider the following conditions. 1, the manufactured housing unit shall comply with section 153.144 manufactured housing units of the Town of James Island Zoning and Land Development Regulations Ordinance, including all skirting and ventilation requirements in the ordinance, as well as any additional requirements mandated by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. 2, prior to obtaining a zoning permit for the proposed site improvements and placement of the manufactured home, the applicant or owner shall install tree barricades around the protected trees on the property as described in section 153.334 of the ordinance throughout the duration of construction. Number 3, that should be number 3. Prior to obtaining a zoning permit for the proposed site improvements, the applicant or owner shall provide documentation that the protected trees on the subject parcel that may be affected due to construction have been pruned and fertilized as recommended by a certified arborist in order to mitigate potential damage to the trees caused by construction.
Thank you, Ms. Crane. Are there any questions for Ms. Crane from BZA members at this time?
This is Sim Parrish. I have a question about E. So the manufactured home at 1079 Seaside Lane has been approved and has been permitted?
It has not been permitted, but it has been approved to go there.
Until it's permitted, this exception is still required. Is that correct?
Yes, until it's placed on the property.
Thank you.
Any other questions from board members? Hearing none, at this time, I will call the applicant, Mr. Stephen Lewis. Is he here tonight?
So I just recently received an email from the applicant stating that they are having weather issues. They have 3 feet of snow where they are and do not have any way to get on the Zoom meeting. And so
Okay.
they are not able to attend.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Crane. Ashley, is there anyone by Zoom that would like to speak in support of this request with a 2-minute limit?
Yes, ma'am, we do have someone here.
If Mr. Wilson could swear them in, and then we can let them speak.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, this is Bo Wilson. Please raise your right hand.
Alrighty, sorry, one second.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You are sworn.
And
Gotcha.
can you please state your name and address for the record, please, sir?
Yes, my name is Clarence Bell. I live on 1084 Seaside Lane. So if you look at the property, I am 2 houses to the right.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
You have 2 minutes.
Well, I just wanted to once again voice my opinion. First, I'd like to say that I don't think that it's a good idea to build this house, and I don't think that me or any of my neighbors approve. Even though they, may not be able to be here tonight or be able to set up a Zoom call, mainly due to the fact that at the time, he wasn't very clear of who was going to be living here. And so I'd like to once again voice the opinion of me and my neighbors and say that, you know, if somebody's going to build on that property, we want it to be clear who is going to be living there. Because I think that's the last thing, you know, Seaside Lane needs is, you know, something that's thrown together very quickly, and we don't have a clear answer on who's going to be living there. So in my opinion, it seems like he's not clear on the reasons he's building it for. So I don't know. I feel like it's not a good idea to be building the property there. But yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bell. And I'll state for the record that was actually speaking against supporting the request. And I just want to clarify that with Mr. Bell. Is that correct? You were
Yes,
against
ma'am.
it? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll make a note of that in the record. We were actually doing those in support first, but since you've gone ahead, that's
Oh,
fine.
I'm sorry. I
No
apologize.
worries. That's no worries. We just,
Yeah.
I want to be sure.
And I'm sorry, I did have one more thing. I couldn't remember. Was that the same? Did he move the property line, from the start of his home? Did he move it further away from the road? Or is that the same?
Not a question and answer. I'm sorry. You just are allowed to
It's
state
fine.
your opinion. If you'll just continue to listen, perhaps more information will come out through the meeting. And I believe that Ms. Crane has all that information on file at Town Hall.
Sure.
And it may even be there in the conference room with the packet. Ashley, is there anyone else who would like to, or is there anyone who would like to speak in support of this request that you know of?
Apologize. No, there is no one else here at Town Hall wishing to speak, either in support or against.
Okay, so Mr. Bell was our one speaker tonight. Thank you, sir. And since the applicant is not here, he cannot speak in rebuttal to the opposition. So at this time, I will close the hearing to the public. We need a motion from the board and a second for discussion. So I will make a motion to approve with conditions recommended by staff, and would also like to add a condition that if it's approved, that it be of the kind and quality that was presented to us at the September 15th meeting, the upscale manufactured home that was presented to us.
Can I ask a question real quick? This is Corey Hipperdman. Can I
Yes.
ask you a question? I know that you said that you don't want us talking about the flooding or the driveway.
Okay, Ms. Erdman, we've got a motion on the floor.
Oh,
and
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no worries. And then once we get a motion that's seconded, then we can discuss
I'm
among.
sorry. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So Brooke Lyon, I have made a motion to approve with the conditions set forth by staff, with the addition of a condition that it be the quality and similar kind that was presented to us by the applicant on September 15th. Is there a second for that?
I second.
Thank you. Mr. Smith has seconded my motion. Now we can open it for discussion. And Ms. Erdman, if you would like to ask your question now.
I'm sorry. And again, this is Corey Hipperdman, and you may tell me that I can't ask this question because I think that you did say that we can't talk about flooding and driveways at the beginning of the meeting. But because so many people spoke out about the flooding concerns and the driveway concerns, and when looking back through my notes, Mr. Lewis did say he was going to look into the floodplains and some of these concerns that the neighbors who don't seem to be there this evening were asking about. So that, I'm just wondering, do we have any further information from him, Kristen, I guess, regarding some of these things that he was going to look into? Does it even matter at this
Oh.
point?
So this is Brookline, and the reason that I stated that about the flooding, the driveway access, is that those are matters that are dealt with by the floodplain manager, the building inspectors, the approval planning director. It
Out of our jurisdiction.
Well, what we need to look at as a board is the criteria set forth and whether or not they meet that criteria.
Okay.
We certainly, I know criteria 1 is looking at, or criteria A is looking at the what the community feels and if it'll have an adverse effect on the community. But I believe Ms. Crane can probably add something to this. We can kind of jump out of our typical protocol if you want to jump in, Ms. Crane, and address any part of what Ms. Erdman asked. Do you or not? If not, we'll just continue discussing among the board.
So I think the question was whether or not the applicant addressed the concerns of the residents regarding flooding and driveways. And like Ms. Lyon said, that's true. We will get to the flooding when the building official does their checks, and then the driveways will come when the site plan is approved. I did include in the packet a survey that was done when the Seaside Lane sidewalks were put in, and you can see each parcel having their own driveway apron. So I hope that answered that question.
And
The flooding, we have stormwater requirements that will have to be met for however many square feet of impervious roof structure is put on and things like that will get to with the building permit stage and the zoning permit stage when we get there, if we get there.
Okay.
And this is Brooke Lyon again. It's my understanding if there's not room for a driveway, then the planning director doesn't approve the site plan. And if there's a problem with the flooding, then it's not approved. So it becomes, those issues typically become a moot point and they're kind of out of our jurisdiction, if you will. So
That was what I just wanted to confirm.
that's,
Ms. Lyon,
yes,
may I speak?
please.
So
Yes.
thank you. So regarding issue A, which is about the about issue B, that is anyway the local people, and what it is in keeping with their character, and if it's also would be if it's adversely affect the general welfare. I think that the driveway issue falls into that, but it is really not our purview, and that will be taken care of by other bodies. But what I did hear in the testimony that was offered was mostly about the people who would live in the home. And I also think that whomever lives in the home is out of our jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
So I also heard something about a change of a property line, and I don't know anything about that, but I would suspect that would also have to do with the ability of the town to deal with whatever came up, or however that's been done. I suppose that if it was done, it was done legally, and if it wasn't done, then it wasn't done. But I didn't hear anything in the testimony, although I understand that the gentleman who took the time to come and tell us what he thought, and I do appreciate that. I think his main concern was dealing with the people who live there, but I'm afraid that that's not anything that we can deal with any more than than some of the other issues, because we only can deal with these certain issues that are in our jurisdiction. And so I just wanted to say that I can't find that this is incompatible with the area that this would adversely affect the general area, the welfare of the community. I mean, as Ms. Crane pointed out, that we need to have high quality, affordable housing for people of all ages and incomes, all sorts of different people. I'm not sure who they are. That's all I had to say.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Anyone else? Any other discussion?
Yeah, this is David Savage. Originally when this request for a special exemption was made, I thought that it failed to meet criteria B, compatible with existing uses in the vicinity and would adversely affect the general welfare, based upon the people that appeared in opposition. Even though those people are not here, that is still part of the record, just like the initial submission by Mr. Lewis. There was then a request for reconsideration on the basis that the city of Charleston had taken some action to approve a manufactured home. And, to be quite honest, I thought that was sufficient basis for us to, reconsider what we had. In that reconsideration, evidence that the structure was in the process of being placed or had been placed would obviously be relevant. There would have been an opportunity, if Mr. Lewis was inclined, to explain his position, to probably alleviate some of the neighbors' concerns. But that wasn't presented, and I'm left with the fact that there's always a tension between a homeowner's right, a property owner's right to develop their land, the town's comprehensive plan, and of course the community input. I mean, it's always, it's a tug, and it really is. And our job is to really consider where we're going and how to follow those criteria. I regret that as I'm reading here, Mr. Lewis basically asked that we reconsider because there has been an approval of something that might occur in the future. And what he's trying to do is say, because that might occur in the future, now 25% of the surrounding property is manufactured homes, and therefore I should be approved because I could be approved administratively. But when I'm looking at the submissions, specifically page 1 presented by the town administrator, it says that the homes have to be equivalent to 25% of the number of the existing principal residences. And the approval of something that might happen in the future does not meet that criteria. So basically, in my view, the applicant is trying to use a possibility in the future to establish that he now has a right to something that can occur administratively, but he doesn't want to go through the administrative process. He wants a special exemption, which then brings our analysis, or at least my analysis, back to criteria B. And personally, I feel that there's been a failure to change my position. I still believe that he does not meet criteria B, in that the exemption is not compatible with the existing uses because it's not 25%. It may be in the future, but it isn't now. And also, I believe from the community input that it does adversely affect the general welfare. Therefore, I'm left to conclude that there's still a failure on B. Now, if Mr. Lewis is as convinced as he is that that manufactured housing will be put there, well, then 25% of the surrounding area will be manufactured homes, and he will be able to get his approval administratively. He would not need this special exemption that he is asking for now. So if he has as much confidence in his claim as he professes to have, I'm confident that at present it does not meet criteria B, but this decision may be moot because sometime shortly in the future, he'll be able to get his administrative approval. So I would be inclined to vote against the motion to approve with conditions that has been seconded.
Thank you, Mr. Savage. Any other discussion? I know with the town, if you get, and Kristen, clarify this for the city. Will this approval for a manufactured home, say the current owner who got the approval doesn't use it, would it stay with the property?
Yes.
Okay. I know I go back to a case we had many years ago that we believe we disapproved it. I'm a little rusty. And then we ended up going to mediation. We went back, we looked at it again. We ended up approving it in order to have some control over the conditions. It was a situation where some of the board members felt like it could meet the conditions, but there were, issues. We had gone back and forth. I know. This just gives me pause. I rode down Seaside today. There are some really nice homes like Mr. Bell's. I noticed his home. Some of the others, there's some very derelict properties. It's a real transitional neighborhood right now. And I just, and I do feel like they're going to be able to meet it administratively, if not, now in the future. So I'm very, I just feel like it could be an advantage to the neighborhood. I don't feel like we have the right to look at who's going to live there, who's not. As Mr. Smith more eloquently said, that is definitely, I don't feel like in our jurisdiction. So I don't know. I feel like they do meet the criteria, and this evidence, this new evidence that we all voted to rehear, in my opinion, changes that. Even though the home is not there yet, that goes with the property now. So with that said, it's they'll have the 25%, and currently there's already 4, which just precludes Kristen from doing it administratively. So those are kind of my thoughts on it. Does anyone else want to say anything? I feel like I'm monopolizing the conversation here, the discussion here.
Could I ask a question, Ms. Crane?
Sure.
If this is not approved and later the other pre-manufactured home is constructed, then would a much lesser quality pre-manufactured home, such as a house trailer on concrete blocks, be allowed to be built here?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Crane.
It would still need to meet, the requirements that are.
Yes, but it need not be the quality that they presented. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, Ms. Crane.
Mm-hmm. And this is Brookline. That was kind of my point in adding that 4th condition. If we end up approving it tonight, I feel like at least that way we can try to, have something nicer for the residents on Seaside. Thank you. Anyone else? Were you going to say something else, Mr. Savage?
Yeah, I would, because Roy, that's really an excellent question.
Yeah.
My concern though is once we approve this house, or once we make a special exemption for this,
Mhm.
then that 25% criteria is going to be met. And then in the future, any other manufactured home or mobile home can be administratively placed. So if we grant this special exemption, this development may go
All
heavily
trailers.
all trailers, right? So, and that gets back to what I'm saying. Remember, the applicant came and said, look, something that may happen in the future, I want you to consider that 25% so I can get in, so I can get my special exemption. My concern is no, because the town says that the 25% is calculated by existing homes, not what may occur. So what I see the applicant is trying to do is to say what may occur is already 25%, so I can come in administratively. He has to get a special exemption. But if we grant this special exemption, we will then make that 25% threshold, and the remainder of the development can be mobile homes administratively.
So it's no longer special.
Ma'am?
So it's no longer special.
Correct.
Yes.
That's just sort of going through my head. So I'm still left with my concern that criteria B is not met, that it is presently compatible with existing uses, because most of the existing uses now are existing site-built homes, and that it would adversely affect the general welfare. I believe, based upon what I understand, that the applicant for the special exception, not for an administrative determination, but for a special exception right here, criteria B is not met. That is my concern.
Thank you,
May-
Mr. Savage. Mr. Smith?
Yes, I certainly understand what Mr. Savage is saying. And to that point, I would like to ask Ms. Crane and Ms. Callahan, if they could make a note of that and perhaps present this to the Planning Commission, and Ms. Wood also, and present this to the Planning Commission and explain the problem that may erupt as we go forward in any case.
Yes, I will do that.
I have a question. It's Sim Parrish. I have a question. The conditions presented by the staff, are those requirements for all homes that are being put in, even if it's an administrative decision?
Yes, except for the one that Ms. Lyon added.
Okay. So okay, my next question is, what is section 153.144 manufactured housing units? What is that? What is the exact definition for that manufactured housing units?
If you give me a second, I can look it up.
Thank you. That would be great.
Can I, this is Corey Hipperdman. Can I ask one more question of Mr. Smith about the statement that he said about the approval being attached to the actual structure? Or is it that the property, was your question that the property, once it's approved for the special exception, it could be a cinder block home on, like a mobile home on cinder blocks, and it's not this particular property that's attached, not this particular structure being proposed that's attached to the property? It could be anything that qualifies as a manufactured home.
If it's done administratively, that's correct.
Okay, got it. Sorry. Thank you for clarifying that.
And that's my question, why I wanted to know what it specifically says a manufactured housing unit is.
Thank
Which
you.
is, I think, an incredibly important thing for the people of Seaside Lane. As it's been pointed out, a lot of people there are taking care of their properties, and they have a lot of pride in their neighborhood. And so I think we have to watch out for them. And whether it's this home or a different one that passes over if it ever does pass over the boundary, as Mr. Savage has pointed out, there could be a domino effect. And so that's why I asked for the planning commission maybe to look at that.
That's a really good point. And we can also, if you all want to hear from the applicant, we can postpone finishing the hearing, or, table it until next month. That's, another option that we have if y'all feel that it's important to hear more from the applicant. I just wanted to throw that out there too.
Yeah, and this is Corey Hipperdman. Again, the only new information is that the city approved that a structure could go there, and it's not there. So, I mean, maybe we do need to defer it.
Because like Mr. Savage said, so it has to be placed there. I've kind of felt like, well, the whole thing's kind of a moot point if they're going to meet the 25%. But, on the other hand, if it's very likely it will be done administratively, in my opinion, it would be better to help, if you will, in quotations, protect the character of Seaside, to add that fourth condition that I added, because that way we're adding the condition to have the nice upscale presentation that they did 2 months ago, instead of just approving it or having it approved administratively, and then just some old single wide icky looking thing could be stuck there. That's all.
It's a question of when we blow the whistle. I think we all agree with that. It's when we do it. Does this one, or is it the next one? And when is it going to happen? And what's the best thing for the neighborhood?
Yes. Yep. And as Mr. Savage said, what meets the criteria. So, but
yes. Well, I guess the criteria at question is what's best for the neighborhood,
which is adversely affecting the general welfare or character of the immediate community.
It would be good to hear from the applicants, and I'm sorry that they're snowed in. On the other hand, well, I don't know if they have swim service or not. I don't know how it works. But on the other hand, I don't know that there's any new information. As Ms. Erdman pointed out, I think that we've been presented with, we've put it off already. But I'm open to however anyone else wants to think about that.
Okay. Well, y'all be thinking about that. We're currently waiting on Ms. Crane to come up on the fly with section 153.144 for us.
I just didn't want to interject.
Have you got it? We're waiting to hear from you, Ms. Crane.
I think the question was, what was the definition of a manufactured housing unit? And it is any residential dwelling unit constructed to standards and codes set forth by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, including the Federal Manufactured Housing Construction and Safety Standards Act of 1974. The term does not include recreational vehicles, travel trailers, or motorized homes licensed for travel on highways, nor manufactured housing units designed and built to meet applicable requirements of the South Carolina Modular Buildings Construction Act.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments, Mr. Savage?
Yeah, Kristen, as I sort of hear that, when I think of a trailer, I think of something that can travel down the roadway, probably has 2 axles. That would probably fit the definition of what you just read, or do you think I'm off base a little bit?
We've had this debate a few times. Charleston County Building Services defines a manufactured housing unit as something that was constructed elsewhere and been able to be brought into the site. A modular home is different. I guess it's constructed in pieces
Right.
and built on site and put together. So a manufactured housing unit does not necessarily have wheels on it, like traditionally you would think as a trailer.
What I think what we're all trying to find out is a trailer a manufactured housing unit?
Yes.
Mobile home.
Yes, a mobile home. All
It's
right.
all the same. It's all the same. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Sim, I think that's what you were interested in knowing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so if this, Corey Hiperdman, if this special exception is voted for, that opens up the door for mobile homes
Within that 300 feet.
in that 300 feet. Okay.
Ms. Crane, can you put up the plat again to see how many empty lots there may be within that 300 feet area? Because I can't remember if
So the plat. So the radius map, I think.
yes, ma'am.
Yes, just give me 1 second, please.
One across the street and then two, if you're looking at the lot, two to the left.
Well, I may have it in the packet. I'm sorry. We do have it on the packet.
Yeah. And the one across the street is the one that just got approved by the city, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, there's one outside. 1073 is outside the 300-foot radius.
I guess looking at this is David Savage. I guess looking at this plat, you'll see the lot in question is highlighted. It looks like that if you go to the left, there's a large lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you put one there, then that would extend that 300-foot circle farther to the left. And aren't there 1, 2, 3 empty lots there?
Mm-hmm.
My concern is that that circle is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you want put one across the street, then you can go to the right. There's an empty lot as well. And then you would have to get a different plat to see where else other ones could be put that might comply. I'm still of my original thought process that I'm not sure that the applicant has presented sufficient evidence to cause me to change my mind that criteria B has been met.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Savage. Any other discussion? If not, and if no one feels the need to postpone or defer, then we'll go ahead and take a vote. So Flannery, if you would definitely please do a roll call. She'll call your name, and then if you'll just say yes or no, or aye or nay, or whatever you're comfortable with.
And Brooke, an aye vote would be to approve the
Yes.
motion to grant the special exception.
That's correct. This to grant the special exception with the 3 recommendations set forth by staff,
And
as well as my additional condition of putting in the manufactured plan that was presented to us at our September 15th meeting, which was an upscale manufactured home. You know, as close as possible. I mean, the details are left to the planning department, but they presented a certain upscale plan that they indicated to us they were planning to do. So I would like to see that if we approve it as a board. That's the motion on the floor. If there's no amendments, Flannery, if you'll go down the line, and yes, aye means yes, voting for it. Nay or no means voting against it.
Okay, Chairwoman Lyon,
oh, she goes last, Flannery.
They actually, I do usually go last.
do you want me to make you go last? Okay, I'll do someone else. Vice Chair Savage,
Nay. No.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Parrish,
Aye.
Mrs. Hip Erdman,
I say nay because I do not feel that it's compatible with existing uses. And
and Chairwoman Lyon.
So I still get to be the tie break again this time too. I will vote yes. I do vote to approve it. I do feel like it meets the criteria set forth by our board. So the motion passes. It has been approved. I made the motion, Mr. Smith seconded it. Ms. Erdman and Mr. Savage voted no. Mr. Parrish, Ms. Lyon, and Mr. Smith voted yes. Ms. Crane, if you will let the applicant owner know, the final decision will be mailed to them within 10 working days. They can contact you guys if they have any questions about the approval and the conditions. Our next meeting is scheduled for January 19th. At this time, we do not have any cases, but the cutoff is Friday. Is there anything in the wings, Kristen, that you know of? No, ma'am. I know the car wash, the Bobo appeal, Attorney Wilson had the appeal hearing on this past Friday on the 11th. Did you want to say anything specific on that, Bo?
Well, the judge has it under advisement, so it's probably preferable
Okay.
to wait, but I am cautiously optimistic.
Okay, good. And with that, does anyone else have anything?
Yes, ma'am. This is Sim Parrish. It is with regret that I am tendering my resignation from the Board of Zoning Appeals as of this meeting. Donna and I we've bought a house in North Carolina and we're planning on moving in January.
Wow.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
So,
Good for you.
so you
Where,
have to-
Sim? Where?
Hillsborough. The Hillsborough, Durham, Raleigh area, Hillsborough, Durham area.
You have grandchildren there, is that right?
Yes, right. I got my son and daughter-in-law and 2 grandsons, my wife's sister and her husband and daughter, and our adopted grandson live there. And just this COVID thing put a lot of stuff in perspective. I'll be 70 years old in March, and I'm still working after 45 years at the same place. So I've decided it's time to call it quits and enjoy the rest of my life.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Congratulations, Sam.
Congratulations,
That's
Sam.
exciting.
Thank you. It's out in the country. We're about 3 miles from Hillsborough, 8 to 10 miles from Durham, and we got 1.15 acres. We're going to raise some chickens and have a really good sizable garden that we're going to work on.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Wonderful.
Sim, I lived in Hillsborough when I was in law school. It's a nice little town.
Yes, it is.
Not far from Chapel Hill.
Right.
You'll like it a lot.
Oh,
I'm
we've
happy for
been
you.
up there several times.
The land.
We will miss you, Sim.
Thank you.
We
And I'm
sh-
gonna miss doing this every month.
Well,
too.
we will sure miss you, Sam. You have just been a wonderful member, and you've been serving as long as Roy and I have. We all started together back in 2012. And gosh, you were on BZA in previous towns as well. So you've really done a great service to our town and our board, and we sure appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll miss you a lot, as everyone has said.
Don't be
We're really excited for you.
surprised if I pop in and watch you do some work.
Good. Well, please do. And Yeah, you'll have to, the low country gets in your blood. I'm sure y'all will be back to visit anyway.
Oh, yes, we will.
Well, if no one else has anything else, we'll sure wish you all the best, Sim, and wish everyone a Merry Christmas. And I hope that 2021 is a wonderful year. We'll see you all next year. And thank you all for coming tonight. And where's my gavel? The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Happy
Bye, y'all.
holidays.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays to you all.
Thanks. Bye, y'all.